Hey Dave, can you hear me? You're all mute.
Can you hear me now, Wes?
And okay. I'm using my computer
Evening.
Good evening. Good evening. All of you that have come tonight, all of you that are listening by Facebook, certainly welcome you to our meeting. Certainly welcome you to join in to know and to understand what Northampton County Board of Commissioners are all about. This is a meeting of our Board of Commissioners on this Monday, February 23rd. This meeting is to take care, 21st, I'm sorry. I can't see, got my glass. This meeting is about taking care of the business of our county, a place that we love, a place that we want to make sure that we are moving forward and doing the things that will benefit our citizens. So again, tonight, we welcome you here and we invite you to participate by, there's a form that you can get on the desk on my right. If you desire to speak, we ask that you will fill out that form, and during that time, you'll be able to speak. Until that time, we're asking you to please note that we are in an official meeting. We're asking for your respect as we give it to you. Behind me is our mission statement that guides us in all that we do. We know why we're here. We're here to make sure that we do what's best for Northampton County. We want to use all the resources that we have wisely. We want to do what we can to make sure that all of our citizens in Northampton County have the best quality of life that we can afford them. We also have a vision statement. Vision statement for us declares that we're going to give the very best service that we possibly can. But along that, we know that we got to live not only for today, we got to live for tomorrow. We got to know that what will the generation behind us, what will they be expecting from us? So here tonight, we do have all of you with us to help us and to hear us as we deliberate over the affairs of Northampton County. At this time, board members, we do know that we have some deaths that we know of in our midst, and we're going to ask for a moment of silence as we pray for those families and perhaps other families that are going through much right now, not only death, but sickness. And we're asking you for just a few moments to bow your heads. Thank you. At this time, we're going to ask you to please stand as we do the pledge of allegiance to the flag. I pledge
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Board members, sent to you was the agenda for tonight's meeting. I'm going to ask you at this time to again look over this agenda, those items that we need to eliminate. Asking you to say so now. And items we need to include, please let us know at this time. At this time, board members, what is items on the agenda that we need to include?
Chair Tyner, under consent agenda tab number 5, although it was included in our actual agenda packet, there was one agenda listed off, left off of the list. So I would like to add November 1st special call meeting. We had 2 meetings on that day, the regular meeting and a special call meeting. So I would like to add on the consent agenda, November 1st, 2021, special call meeting. Also, we did not have any budget amendments presented to us for today. So I would like to remove tab number 18 as we have our finances reconciled without any additional amendments today. And between the consent agenda and the cultural arts presentation, I would like to add proclamations, the approval of proclamations for Mr. Jasper Washington Jones, Mr. Chester Janelle Deloach Sr., and Mr. Wardy P. Vincent Sr.
Board members, you hear from Vice Chairman. Are there any others? Any other?
No, sir.
Others?
No.
No.
If not, could I have a motion from one of you that we would approve the agenda?
I make a motion that we approve the agenda with the edits noted by Vice Chair Faulkner.
Okay,
Second.
been moved and properly second by our Mr. Edwards that we would use the agenda as given to us. Any questions or any discussion? If not, all in favor, let known by usual sign aye.
Aye, Buffalo.
I have
Faulkner.
Aye, Boone.
As have it. Motion is carried. Could we move down to the resolutions? I'm gonna ask again, Vice Chairman.
We're gonna do the
Oh,
consent agenda
conflict.
first.
Okay, let's do the conflict of interest. Boone, will you please read that for us?
Yes, sir. In accordance with the rules of procedures adopted by this board in section 153A-44 of the North Carolina General Statutes, it is the duty of every member present to vote on all matters coming before the board unless there is a conflict of interest as determined by the board or by law. Does any board member have a conflict of interest with respect to any agenda item coming before the board today? If so, please identify the conflict and the board will consider the matter. I, Boone, have no conflict.
Faulkner have no conflict.
Charles have
no conflict.
Buffalo, no conflict.
okay. We move right now to our consent. We have the minutes there. September 20th, October 4th, yes, I don't have my class.
The sets of minutes before the board are September 20th, regular meeting minutes, October 4th, regular meeting minutes, October 18th, regular meeting minutes, November 1, special called meeting minutes, November 1, regular meeting minutes, and November 15, regular meeting minutes.
Thank you. Board, could I have a motion by you that we accept the consent agenda with given?
I make a motion that we accept the consent agenda as presented.
Flo has made a motion. Could I have a second? Second by Ms. Boone. Then the question and discussion. All in favor, let known by you, just sign aye.
Aye.
Aye, Buffalo. Aye, Boone.
Faulkner.
Ayes have it, motion is carried. Now, come to you, Vice Chairman, if you do the resolution.
Good evening, everyone. It is with sadness, but also an honor to read the proclamation for these citizens who've made a great impact on our great county. Northampton County Board of Commissioners proclamation recognizing the 100th birthday of Mr. Jasper Washington Jones. Whereas longevity of life is a blessing for an individual and for a community which benefits from the knowledge, creativity, and experiences this individual brings to all. Whereas the Northampton County Board of Commissioners recognizes with respect and admiration the contributions of citizens to our county. Whereas Mr. Jasper Washington Jones was born on February 22nd, 1922, which he proudly states 2/22/22, to Rebecca Alexander and Lafayette Jones in the small town of Wise, North Carolina, located in Warren County. Whereas Mr. Jones enjoyed the love shared with his parents and his siblings that he admired to the utmost, his sister, the matriarch of the family, Azora Jones Bagley, and brothers Irvin Jones Sr., Hartwell Jones Sr., and Frederick Watson Jones. He also loved and cherished all of his nieces and nephews, including his special bond with Joan Faye Jones Donovan, professional opera singer, and her brother Hartwell Jones Sr., anointed preacher, whom he and his family helped to raise until adulthood. Whereas Mr. Jones was raised in a loving home where high family, moral, spiritual, and educational values were instilled. At an early age, he was baptized and joined the Locust Grove Baptist Church in Wise, North Carolina. He remained a faithful member until his death and mobility declined. He served with enthusiasm and delight as the chairman of the Deacon Board for over 50 years. He was truly a vital member of the church for many years. Whereas Mr. Jones was raised on the rural country farm where hard work and sacrifice were paramount. Toiling on the farm was also a motivating force to inspire him and his siblings to get an education and to be removed from the subservient life of the farm. Mr. Jones attended the schools for Negroes in Warren County, North Carolina. He graduated with honors from Warren County Training School in Wise. He was set to enroll in Shaw University. However, his plans were altered and he was called to serve in World War II, where he served in the United States Navy. Upon being honorably discharged from the Navy, he returned home and immediately enrolled at Shaw University. He graduated in 1951 with a Bachelor of Arts degree in History and English Education. Whereas while matriculating at Shaw University, Mr. Jones was impressed with the distinguished members of the Alpha Phi Alpha Fraternity Incorporated, Beta Rho chapter. He was initiated into the fraternity on December 13th, 1949. He has enjoyed his affiliation with the Alphas in the Epsilon Sigma Lambda chapter in Rocky Mount, North Carolina. Whereas Mr. Jones returned to his alma mater, Warren County Training School, where he taught history for several years. During this time, he met and married Annie Lee Teal, who also taught at the school. To this union, they had a baby girl, Japine Vale Jones, who succumbed on the day of her birth. His beloved wife, Annie Lee, passed away in September of 1963. Whereas during his transitions, Mr. Jones did advanced studies at New York University, NYU, where he received his master's degree in advanced studies towards his doctorate degree. Whereas in 1958, Mr. Jones was appointed by the Northampton County School System to become the principal of Squire Elementary School in Gaston. He was elated to be asked to be the first principal to open up the newly constructed school. He served as principal until 1991. At this time, he was appointed as interim superintendent of the Northampton County Schools. After serving in this capacity, he returned to Squire School, where he retired in 1995. Whereas in 1965, Mr. Jones married Barbara Bell Jones. They enjoyed many happy years together until her demise in December 2011. Mr. Jones also spent much time traveling, shopping, hosting guests, and enjoying life with his wife. They did not have any biological children, but they served as honorary parents, role models, and mentors for many people in Northampton and Halifax counties. Whereas before and after retirement, Mr. Jones enjoyed working with the Northampton County Board of Elections, where he served as the chairman of the Board of Elections from 1975 to 2002. He also enjoyed being actively involved with the Schoolmaster Club, African American administrators in Northampton County, for over 40 years. He was also an active member of the Weldon Seaboard Alumni Chapter of Shaw University. Whereas Mr. Jones continues to enjoy life in his home in Gaston, North Carolina, where he is blessed to be cared for by his loving niece, goddaughter, Georgette Brown Kimball, and her husband, Wayne Kimball Sr., along with the dedicated and caring love of his caregivers. He cherishes the love of his godchildren, Waynette Kimball, and his alpha brother, Wayne Kimball Jr., along with all of his nieces, nephews, cousins, and friends. And whereas the United States has the greatest number of centenarians in the world, and today, Mr. Jones should be honored for his 100 years on this earth. Now, therefore, be it proclaimed that the Northampton County Board of Commissioners does hereby honor Mr. Jasper Washington Jones, extended its sincere congratulations to him on the event of his 100th birthday, and wishing him long life and prosperity in the days and years to come. This, the 21st day of February, 2022. We do have a picture of Mr. Jones as well. Northampton County Board of Commissioners proclamation in honor and memory of Chester Janelle Deloach Sr. Whereas the citizens of Northampton County lost a dedicated public servant with the death of Chester Janelle Deloach Sr. on February 18th, 2022. Whereas Mr. Deloach was elected and served for 12 years on the Northampton County Board of Commissioners, and further was a longtime member of the Roanoke Electric Cooperative Board of Directors. And whereas Mr. Deloach was universally respected by his fellow board members and the employees and citizens of Northampton County for his leadership and tireless work ethic on behalf of the county. Now, therefore, be it proclaimed that the Northampton County Board of Commissioners respectfully honors the life and memory of Chester Janelle Deloach Sr. and expresses sincere sympathy and condolences to the entire Deloach family during this time of great personal loss. Be it further proclaimed that the board expresses on behalf of the citizens of Northampton County deep appreciation and gratitude for the gifts of time, ability, and commitment given by Chester Janelle Deloach Sr. in representing the interests of Northampton County on the Board of Commissioners. This, the 21st day of February, 2022. Northampton County Board of Commissioners proclamation in honor and memory of Wardy P. Vincent Sr. Whereas the citizens of Northampton County lost a dedicated public servant with the death of Sheriff Wardy P. Vincent Sr. on February 16th, 2022. Whereas born in Northampton County on November 4th, 1947, to the late Eugene and Noreen Vincent, Sheriff Vincent graduated from Gunberry High School, after which he served in the Vietnam War. Whereas upon his being honorably discharged from the United States Army, Sheriff Vincent returned home to Northampton County to pursue a career in law enforcement and graduated from Halifax Community College with a degree in criminal justice. Whereas Sheriff Vincent's public service and law enforcement included such roles as a security guard with the Migrant Seasonal Farm Workers Association in Rich Square, an undercover agent for Bertie, Hertford, and Northampton counties, a civil officer, patrol deputy, detective, and chief deputy with the Northampton County Sheriff's Office, a probation and parole officer for the state of North Carolina, an assistant chief of police, and narcotics investigator for the town of Garrisburg. Whereas in 1998, he was elected sheriff of Northampton County and faithfully served its citizens until his retirement on July 31st, 2013. And whereas Sheriff Vincent was universally respected for his leadership and decades of service to the citizens of Northampton County and the state of North Carolina. Now therefore be it proclaimed that the Northampton County Board of Commissioners respectfully honors the life and memory of Wardy P. Vincent Sr. and expresses sincere sympathy and condolences to his family during this time of great personal loss. Be it further proclaimed that the Board of Commissioners expresses its deep appreciation and gratitude for the time and commitment given by Wardy P. Vincent Sr. in serving and protecting the citizens of Northampton County. This, the 21st day of February, 2022. Thank you.
Thank you, Vice Chairman. We appreciate that reading, okay? At this time, we will ask the board, what is your pleasure in adopting these resolutions?
I make a motion that we adopt the resolutions for proclamations recognizing the 100th birthday of Mr. Jasper Washington Jones and the life and service of Mr. Chester Janelle Deloach Sr. and Mr. Wardy P. Vincent Sr.
Second.
Moving proper second that we would adopt those resolutions. Are there any questions in the discussion? Questions, no discussion? Questions? All in favor, let know by usual sign of aye.
Aye.
Aye, Buffalo. Aye, Boone.
I, Faulkner.
Ayes have it, motion is carried. Thank you so much. Let's go into our cultural arts presentation.
Good evening, Mr.
Evening.
Chairman,
Evening.
Commissioners. First of all, I want to thank you for allowing our Cultural Arts Committee to come in and being part of your meeting tonight. On October the 1st, first of all, if y'all mind if I take my mask
Oh, you're
down, I
fine.
can't breathe. On October 1st, 2007, Northampton County Cultural Arts Committee was created as a direct result of annual appropriations to our counties by our North Carolina General Assembly to support activities of cultural arts. The committee files an annual grant application each year to the North Carolina Arts Council for grassroots funding for Northampton County. The purpose of the committee is to make the arts accessible to all citizens by preserving culture and fostering the growth and development of artists and the arts through education, outreach, and shared experiences. Each year, we plan activities that we feel will benefit our citizens. One of our major programs that we like to plan activities is for our students within our county. I don't know whether y'all are aware of it because there's no arts in us as students are not have accessible to arts within their curriculums. So that's one of the things that we try to do each year. And this year, our students had the opportunity to engage in the literary art of creative writing. We were very fortunate to be able to commission Philip Shabazz, who's a poet / instructor, for a 2-week residence at Conway and Gaston Middle Schools. Approximately 100 students participated at each school. Also, we are in the early stages, I'm so proud of this. We are in the early stages of developing Northampton County Barn Quilt Trail. How many of y'all have been riding around the county and see these barn quilts on throughout the county? This year, we're going to place 5 barn quilts. And we are so blessed that we have local talent right here amidst us. Georgia Taylor. She paints them and she places them on the barns for us. And you can go to our website, which is nhcculturalarts.com. And there's a map on there that will direct you to each one of these barn quilts. The month of February, Black History Month. And our Cultural Arts Committee, we wanted to do something special for our county. So we decided we would like to have a Black History quilt painted and presented to you tonight in recognition of Black History Month. We would like to have it displayed at the Cultural and Wellness Center so that it can be enjoyed by all of our citizens and visitors. We're in the process of having a display case made to place the quilt in. This project was coordinated by Brenda Taylor, and the artist is Mona Cunningham from Suffolk, Virginia, who is with us tonight. Before we present the quilt, I'd like to have my committee stand and introduce themselves. Shakima, you can start.
Good evening, my name is Shakti Grant.
Good evening.
I'm Jordan Furlong.
Good evening. Good evening.
Good evening, Judy Gossett.
Good evening.
Good evening, Lucy Edwards.
Good evening.
Lucy.
Good evening, Brenda Taylor.
Brenda.
And Mona, please stand.
Good evening.
Oh,
Okay.
nice.
Thank y'all so much. At this time, we'd like to present the quilt to you, and if Lucy and Dick will stand. And if you can kind of stand to the side so that they'll have we have to take two tall people, that's so long.
Okay.
Beautiful. Beautiful.
Yeah, we will.
Mr. Collier, can you stand to the side a little? No, I want to see you.
That's nice.
Thank you. I'll get a full picture of it.
And so, for that information, the quilt, what it consists of is Roanoke Salem Baptist Church. It has the history of peanut shops. It has George Moses Horton, who was born in Rich Square and is the first Black professional writer in America. We have Mrs. Fanny Talferro Newsom. She was the first Black home demonstration agent, and she also served as a librarian for Northampton County Negro Branch Library, which was later named P.A. Bishop Library until it was incorporated into the Northampton County Memorial Library. And W.S. Creasy School, History of Cotton, and then on the bottom is the Robert Brothers. They were from Rich Square, and one of them, Watkins Jr., was one of the first commissioners in Rich Square that was incorporated. Winfred Roberts was appointed the first Black postmaster in Rich Square in 1886, and Axel Roberts was elected representative in Northampton County in 1886.
Oh,
But we are very, very proud of this quilt, and it's, even if I say so myself, I think it's absolutely beautiful.
It is.
Y'all want to show you
Nice.
this?
Mhm. Thank you.
Now becomes the possession of Northampton County, but if you all would like, custodian of it into the display cases.
we will.
Yeah.
We would appreciate that. Thank you all so much.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Mhm.
Worthwhile. Thank you so much.
Thank you for capturing our history so beautiful in the county. Thank you. Good idea.
Mm.
Thank you. Great. Any other board members, any other comments?
Beautiful.
Just thank you.
Absolutely beautiful.
Okay, we
For
should.
Rich Square, I would be remiss if I didn't say a lot of great things have come out of Rich Square. And thank you for capturing them.
Thank you. This time we have the appointment of Cte Area Development Association board members.
Chairman Tyner, at a previous board meeting, we had the recommendation, but we were just missing the attachment of the application.
Mhm.
And for consistency and transparency, we just wanted to make sure we had all of our pieces in place in order to move forward with the recommendation that I wholeheartedly support. The recommendation of Ms. Reverend Dawn Daly Mack, a registered nurse. She's from Gaston, North Carolina. And she is seeking and being recommended for the Chornoke Area Development Board. I make a motion known as Cte Board. I make a motion that we approve this recommendation.
Okay,
Second.
moving proper second that we approve person to the Cte board. Matt, any questions, any discussion? She's present?
Yes.
Yeah. Oh, okay, I didn't see you. Okay. Congratulations. All in favor, let nobody use saying aye.
Aye.
Faulkner.
Ayes have it. Motion is carried.
Mhm.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Good evening.
My name is Megan Vick, and I'm the local public health administrator for the health department here. And I'm standing here tonight on behalf of our director, Mr. Andy Smith, who could not be here. And I first want to say I apologize for the last meeting. We had a little bit of miscommunication as far as the contract goes, but everybody should have everything, including myself, correctly. This contract tonight is for the AmeriHealth Caritas North Carolina, Inc. And this is part of the Medicaid transformation that is transformed to managed care. And the health department has already signed these contracts, but this one is specific to our home health services for us to be reimbursed for any kind of service that we do for those individuals who have AmeriHealth as their provider. And other Medicaid care organizations that we have are WellCare, Healthy Blue, and United Healthcare, who we have already signed off on. So this is just to bring this contract to you all tonight.
Your health board has already approved this, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay. What is your pleasure, board?
I make a motion that we approve the AmeriHealth Caritas Home Health Care Contract as presented by Mrs. Vick tonight.
Second.
Moving proper second that we approve the contract as given to us by Ms. Vick. Are there any questions, any discussion? Not, all in favor, known by usual sign aye.
Aye.
Faulkner.
Aye, boom.
Ayes have it, motion is carried. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Okay. We'll talk about the proposed medical insurance. Sam?
Good afternoon, everybody.
Good afternoon.
Citizen.
Good evening. Good evening.
I'm Sheila A. Watford, Interim Human Resource Director for Northampton County. I'm here to ask for the board to consider approval for the renewal of the medical coverage for the 2022-2023 fiscal year and to consolidate the ancillary carriers and streamline open enrollment. The renewal will allow the employees continue health care coverage and maintain the county's membership with NCHIP and Blue Cross Blue Shield. I have the Gallagher group here on Zoom, and they're gonna go over the presentation for you to explain why this is necessary.
Hey Sheila, this is Wes Brixton. Can you hear me?
Yes, sir, I
Yes.
can.
Pretty good. All right. Does everybody have a copy of the presentation, or will I be sharing my screen? I believe
Yes.
this was included in everybody's packet. So the
Yes.
title should say Commissioners Meeting. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, first off, I just want to say thank you, Mr. Chairman, and thank you to the county commissioners for having us here tonight. I'm joined here by my colleague, Dave Costa. You'll hear from him shortly. And thank you, Sheila, for inviting us to be a part of this meeting. Let's flip forward to page 2 here. Look back to 2021. And then quickly to page 3, you'll see this is a page that should be familiar to many of you. We were fortunate to be able to present to you all about a year ago. And this is an approval letter from the chair of the North Carolina Health Insurance Pool Board of Trustees that admitted Northampton County to join NCHIP for fiscal year 22. At that time, we had 14 member governments that participated in NCHIP. And we're excited to say that we have since grown to 20 total governments. So if you look forward to page 4 here, you can take a look at our current membership, all 20 members. As I mentioned, we added 6 new members for fiscal year 22. That's the city of Thomasville, Roxborough, Newton, Piedmont Triad Regional Council, the town of Boone, and Northampton County. And I'd like to commend Ms. Watford. She's done a phenomenal job representing the county on the NCHIP Board of Trustees. We have monthly meetings. We meet every third Wednesday of the month. And Sheila has been a great active participant in those meetings. So thank you for that service, Sheila. We're super proud of the fact that we have 100% member retention. And so when we started NCHIP back in July 1st, 2018, we started this organization to stabilize health insurance costs for mid-sized governments right here in North Carolina. And that's exactly what we've done. And we've been able to grow the program year over year, which further stabilizes the cost for everybody. So we'll get into some of the numbers here shortly. Flipping forward to page 5, you have a picture here of North Carolina. This is our geographic footprint of our members from Macon County in the western part of the state, all the way to Brunswick, Duplin, and Northampton County in the eastern part of the state. Now is the time that my colleague Dave and I are actively recruiting for new members, but at the same time, we're having these discussions with all of our current 20 members to solidify renewals moving into fiscal year 23. You'll see here that we have 11,000 total members. That's employees plus their dependents covered under the plan. So that gives us a tremendous amount of buying power and leverage when we're negotiating the best deals in the marketplace to stabilize costs for everybody. Flipping forward to page 6, this was what was presented to you all a year ago for fiscal year 23. At the time, you were fully insured with Cigna. You were paying about 2.9, so just shy of $3 million in total funding. And we noticed that we were able to move you into NCHIP and drastically reduce that cost by 14%, which equated to about $420,000 decrease from what you were paying to Cigna. So when you joined NCHIP last year, it meant better plans. So we were able to lower your pharmacy copays, give you a better network with Blue Cross Blue Shield of North Carolina, but it also meant lower cost. So we were able to reduce your employee premiums from $90 down to $0. We were able to reduce the spouse tier by $390, the child tier by $250, and the employee tier by $700. Now, back last year, we had 6 employees that were taking advantage of the dependent tiers. We added 10 employees in those buckets, and now we have 16 employees taking advantage, but we still have a long way to go. The healthcare issue, the cost of healthcare is not a one-year problem. It's a long-term problem, but we're taking steps that are stabilizing the cost for the county and putting you guys on the right track so we can make these costs more and more affordable for your employees and the families that they want to cover. If we look to page 7, this is just a nice visual of where you've been and a vision of where you're going. So MedCost was your carrier prior to Cigna. Cigna was your carrier 2 years ago. And then this was your first year with Blue Cross inside of the North Carolina Health Insurance Pool. And we believe that this builds confidence and stability with the carriers for your employees, but also in the premiums that you'll be paying to NCHIP. Now, page 8, we'll spend some time getting into the numbers, going through the renewal, and then we'll conclude today's conversation with a brief overview of consolidating your ancillary lines of coverage as well. If we flip forward to page 10, here's a look at the NCHIP dashboard. Now, don't get too caught up in the numbers here, but we wanted to show you NCHIP as a whole. And NCHIP, as Ms. Watford knows, is fully transparent. Every single month, the county knows exactly how you're doing compared to all your other 19 members inside of NCHIP. So looking at the first 6 months of the plan year, all of our groups have paid in $42 million total, and we've paid out $41 million, which leaves us a loss ratio of 97.6%, that number right there in the middle. And so we have a surplus right now of $1 million. So the plan, in other words, is running right below projected cost, which is right where we needed to be through the first 6 months of the plan year. Flipping forward to page 11, and specific to Northampton County, the county is having a great first year inside of NCHIP. You can see here the gross budget on the left-hand side. Through the first 6 months of the plan year, the county's paid $1.3 million. And you've paid out just north of 1.2 million, and you're running a loss ratio of 93.7% right there in the middle, which leaves us with a surplus of $82,000. Now, rewind the clock back to a year ago. If you had a really good year under your previous fully insured model, those dollars would have belonged to the carrier instead of being tied to the county. And that's what's really important about NCHIP is the surpluses that are going to grow over time are going to be tied to the county. And so that's a key differentiator of the model that you all are in today versus models that you've been in the past. And we've seen a lot of our member partners, our towns, our counties begin to return some of those surpluses back and start to use those dollars in other areas within the county. And so it's a good way to have your health plan working for you. On page 12, this is how we do it. You can see here we have Warren County on the left-hand side, and we have Townsend-Kernersville all the way on the right-hand side. So inside of the North Carolina Health Insurance Pool, all 20 members share in the cost of claims over $40,000. And so since we're sharing cost, there's no one claimant that can disproportionately impact any one of our member partners. And that's our secret sauce. That's what stabilizes the cost for the long term. So knock on wood, there's been no large claimants at the county this year, which is fantastic. But hypothetically in the future, if there were any large claimants, I'm talking $100,000+ claimants that could dramatically impact your renewal, then those costs are absorbed by your member partners. And so your renewals are stable from year to year to year. And so that's what this visual shows here on slide 12 is the stability. While you see the cost here, everybody's a little bit different. Some are above the average, some are below the average. Everybody is reallocated to the average and pays the same amount. And that's what makes the cost stable for each one of our NCHIP partners. On page 13, this is just an example of your current reserve summary. We look at the fiscal year balance of $74,626, and that's continuing to grow. You guys had a fantastic January, bringing those numbers up. So again, those surplus dollars are now tied to the county versus in previous years, they were tied to your carrier, and the carrier got to retain those dollars. But now as a member of NCHIP, you do now have access to those reserve funds. On page 14, this is something that all of our members see on a monthly basis. And Ms. Watford and the team see this as well. But this is month by month from July to December. You can see on the bottom there, the budgeted cost versus the actual cost. And so for the county, the budget's about $218,000 plus or minus based off enrollment activity. And then you can see the actual cost. And then there again, there's the 1.3 million that's been paid in total versus the 1.2 that's been paid out. And then our surplus there of $82,000. So let me jump into the renewal piece of it. And I'm going to pull Mr. Costa into the conversation. Dave and I both, we sit in Charlotte, North Carolina, but even though Charlotte's our home base, I like to think our office is our cars. You know, we travel all around the state, meeting with counties and cities and towns, and spend a lot of time together. Dave is our underwriter for NCHIP. So when you're looking at page 16, this is the 30,000 foot view of all of our funding for all 20 members, $85.2 million. We think that we have to increase funding by $3 million for all of our groups for the next fiscal year, which our average renewal this year is 3%. And it ranges from a -5 to a +5. Now, those that have been a part of NCHIP for many years, those are the ones that we have called for a decrease in funding. Those that haven't been a part of NCHIP, like Northampton County, there's a increase in funding. And we'll get into the details of that here on page 17. On page 17, you'll see the total number of enrolled employees. There's the 270. Of those, 254 are in the employee-only coverage. And then you have 3 people taking advantage of the spouse coverage, and then 13 people taking advantage of the employee and children coverage. Currently, so this fiscal year 22, the annual spend is $2.6 million, and we project that to go to $2.74 million. So a 4% increase is the renewal. Dave, I know you take a lot of time and efforts underwriting each county and each member inside of the NCHIP. Give us a little more details about how we arrived at the 4%.
Yep. Thank you, Wes. So to underwrite, you guys, it's very standard underwriting. We're using claims data that we're getting from Blue Cross and also using the prior history from when you're with Cigna. The big thing driving the renewal this year is what we need to make sure that there's adequate surplus available. So right now and through the month of January, you've increased your surplus. You've basically covered what we call our needs. And what I mean by that is if you were to terminate your health plan today, there's still be an outstanding liability, meaning that you have people that have gone to see a doctor, but they haven't been paid yet. The doctor and the providers haven't been paid yet. There's normally a lag time between when you go to the doctor and when the insurance company pays that doctor. So to cover that, we need to hold some reserves inside the pool. If you look at the pool as a whole, we're sitting on about $13 million in reserves. Now, specific to Northampton County, you're right about funding where we think that reserve needs to be. But as a policy for NCHIP, we like to have everyone have a little bit of margin, meaning we like everyone to have the expected reserve plus 50%. So really what's driving the renewal this year, instead of the average of 3%, like the rest of the pool, we're using a 4% because we want to build up that excess so that next year and going forward, everyone is achieving the pool average, which has been about 2 to 3% year over year. Wes?
Yep, Dave. And to put that into perspective, what are you seeing in terms of market trend renewals?
Yep. So if you look at any, call it trend studies, which in the industry has been roughly 7 to 8% for a long time now, it's about the same. So on a standalone basis, you would be able to expect from a fully insured carrier 7 to 10%. So we're about taking that in half. And, you know, in the future, everyone knows inflation is really rising these days. You see it at the gas pump, you see it everywhere else. You know, so the same thing is happening with medical and prescription drug insurance. But once again, averages in the industry, 7 to 10%. So we're really cutting that average in half.
Got it. So let's look to page 18. And this is just a breakdown of a couple different scenarios of county contribution dollars versus employee contribution dollars. And the way that it's structured today is it's no cost for employee only coverage. So if you recall last year, we took that cost, it was $90 for employees, and we took that down to $0. Now, if there was no increase to employee funding today, then the county would be responsible for the total 4% increase. However, you could take a look at slightly increasing the employee funding. So let's say we took the funding from $0, which is what they pay today, up to $15. If you did that, then the county's increase would be not 4%, but it'd be 2.5%. So definitely some options that we can take a look at, depending on if we want to give some of the employees some of those, I guess, increases, or do we want to continue to hold the funding flat? If I look forward to page 19, this is the track record that we're going to be building over time. Now, if you look on the left-hand side, I told you that NCHIP started on July 1, 2018. So there it is. Fiscal year 19 was the very first year our members averaged a 1.3% increase. In fiscal year 20, our 11 members at that time averaged a 1.8% increase. Fiscal year 21, our 14 members at that time averaged a 0.5% increase. And then fiscal year 22, our members averaged a 3% increase, looking at a 4-year average of 1.65%. So this is the page I think we're most proud of, and it's the fact that we're outpacing market trend increases by over 6 points, so significantly. So we know that there's a lot of purchasing power and a lot of stability that comes by banding together and working with your peers across North Carolina. On the right-hand side, we'll see this build out over time. So there's the very first year, negative 14%, followed by this year at 4%. But we do expect the county to be closer to our NCHIP averages over time. To Dave's point, we're still in that period where we're building up the surpluses, and that's really what's attributing to the 4% renewal increase. So, Ms. Watford, let me pause right there and address any questions that folks might have.
Board members, got any questions you need to ask right now?
This is Vice Chair Faulkner. On page 12, you listed with a 2-bar comparison between the sum of basically paid out versus paid in, if I'm interpreting that correctly.
Reject that.
Sorry,
It's on the chairman.
was that correct? A correct assertion?
Yes, so page 12 here is what folks are averaging. This is a per member per month average in our shared risk layer. So all claims over $40,000, for example, the Northampton County is currently averaging $81.51 per member per month. Correct. Through the first 6 months of the plan year.
So through the first 6 months of the plan, you've estimated a year-to-date surplus of 75 on page 11.
Yep.
Okay. So in essence, Northampton is actually saving more because of the surplus. So when you said that goes back to Northampton, so we would have, our employees have actually filed less dollars worth of claims than you've paid out. And then I heard you say that members who have been in the pool longer would experience a decrease. However, just with the 2018 and 2019, and I stopped with some of the 2019, I kind of paused there. I see 3 very large ones who are costing the pool. The ones who are costing the pool are going to experience the decrease, and ones like Northampton who are saving the pool are going to experience an increase because we just came in. I don't understand that rationale. I think those who cost you more should pay more, and those who save you more should save less. That seems like a positive business model to me.
I think we just been in 1 year.
But in 1 year, we saved while those others who've been in a while, and if you all could see it, I'm sorry that you all can't see, there's like one county, Allegheny County is here. Their cost is here. Northampton, okay, paid in, cost out. Northampton paid in, cost out. I'm just not, I understand that maybe your business model, but in our discussion, when you say the difference between a 4% and a 2%, I understand we're new.
Yep.
But I was waiting for your rationale. I was waiting for you to explain it because I couldn't see that as a commission. So help me see how we should pay more. And at least those 3 counties that I see that are far on the right, it's like a bell-shaped curve, and they're far on, you all's right, my left. They're far over here. So the bell is like this. We're in the middle.
Yep.
Some of those are way over here.
Yep.
With costing you more.
So great question, and I'll make a clarifying comment, and then I'll let our underwriter, Mr. Costa, chime in here. And so it's not always the case that members that have been in longer are paying less. So those that are in longer, they have had more time to build up that surpluses and are more likely to be in the group that are paying the average or less than the average. Now, we do have members that have been a part of NCHIP for 2 or more years that are still driving costs, and they were paying the average or greater than the average. So without really spending time to dive into that data, that was more of a general statement that we see our members that have been in there longer. Those are the ones that have built up surpluses over time, and those are the ones that are able to have flat renewal increases. So my apologies for that, but that's in general. Now, Dave, when you're looking at our banded layer, our shared risk layer, we know that from year to year, you're going to have groups that are above the average, and you're going to have groups that are below the average. We know that it's very difficult to predict a group that has 300 employees year over year over year. That's why everybody is reallocated back to the average. So can you comment on that from an underwriter's perspective?
Yep. And I'll add, on that chart there, the ones that are leading the pack that are more expensive, for example, if you think about Allegheny County, they've been in the pool 3 years and they have surpluses of hundreds of thousands of dollars that they've built up over those periods. So they have, called cash flow available to them to negate future increases. Now, really, the whole concept of NCHIP is the law of large numbers. And to Wes's point earlier, when I'm projecting Northampton County on a standalone basis, 270 employees or so, it's going to be, it's all over the place. But when I can underwrite on 11,000 employees, which we do now in NCHIP, it makes it a lot more stable. It's the whole idea when you hear about, Medicare for all or anything like that. The more people on a plan, the more accurately you can predict that plan. So once again, everyone is going to be, 1 year you're going to be subsidized by the pool. The next year you're going to be a subsidizer. It's going to change because large claim risk is unpredictable. How many people have cancer, strokes, heart attacks, premature babies? So the whole idea when we bring groups into the pool, we want to make sure that they're going to, we want to make sure we're not bringing in groups that we know are going to be subsidized every year. So we always try and bring in new members that are on par with the current pool average or better. So to your point, you're performing right around the pool average this year. But we just haven't had the time yet to build up the reserves to the level we want to versus an Allegheny County, a Wake Forest, an Orange County, a town of Hillsborough that have been in the program for 3-4 years now, and they've built up those excess reserves to help them in these cash flow situations.
Okay. So your statement that when there's a surplus, the money comes back to us. So in the years that Allegheny has built the surplus, they receive their funds back, right? So in a year now that they are actually paying more, shouldn't they have to pay more in?
So the answer to that is it's up to their management on what to do with those surpluses. Most groups decide to keep that inside the pool. Now we at least need to fund that liability that I talked about. So every year we have our actuary do a calculation to say, if you were to end the pool, what is that outstanding liability? So for example, if you were to leave the pool in June, at the end of June, you'd still have an outstanding liability for claims that were your employees incurred in May and June, but haven't been paid out by the pool yet. So we at least need to hold some reserves to cover that liability. Now, what, for example, most groups do is they keep those reserves inside the pool to negate future increases. Now, I can tell you, groups like Orange County that have been in the pool for 3-4 years now, they actually returned $1 million in surpluses to their county last year because they had that excess reserve. That's once again up to commissioners, administrators on how they want to treat excess reserves that are above and beyond that liability I talked about. We're not there yet at Northampton County. We're just about funded at the level to cover that expected cost, but we're not there yet. And that's why that you have the 4% increase versus the pool average of the 3%, because we're not fully funded on that excess surplus yet.
Mr. Evans, you started to say something?
No, I was just asking, could he project on the screen? That's what I was saying, Mr. Chairman.
Were there any other questions you all need to ask? Any other question? I'm going to ask you to look at this and to let's look at this and see what it is that we possibly can do in the county with the 2.5 to 4% increase that they're asking. And we can make some decision. We don't have to do it tonight. You have the information. If you have any other question, then we can certainly call them and ask them about that, the questions that we have. The pool for me is the fact that we do have some reserves there. And if it means another year, we got to do the 2.5%, we can look at our budget and see if we can do that instead of passing it on to our employees and hoping that next year we have a surplus and we'll get it back. It's so many options that we have, and I just like for you all to just look at it. This is our first presentation. We don't do like we did last year, wait to the last minute and have people sign up for the HELPS program that they desire. We want to do it this time in a timely manner. You give our employees an opportunity to sign up for what it is they like, and they don't have to be rushed. So if you would, board members, I would like to just have this this information tonight. And at our next meeting, if you all will have any questions, please see our interim HR director, and maybe she can answer those questions to you, for you. But it seems like the real question is the additional that they're charging us for the next year. We have to make up our mind if that's where we desire to go.
Chair Tyner, I know that when we source to try to find the best possible rates for our county employees and their families that were being covered, we were concerned about the cost to our employees. And there was a great difference of savings moving with this county and this company. And I remember us saying, now don't come back next year and you want more. And then the year after, then we wound up back where we were. I remember that us asking that because we were concerned about a decrease and then the whammy. And it's not that you're giving us a whammy, so to speak, but the very next year it's an increase. I remember it gets shoddy sometimes, but when it comes to money, I tend to remember the conversations as a board that we had during this time frame, and I definitely don't want to wait to the last minute. But I do want to express that coming back the very next year with an increase is concerning. And the rationale for me is concerning.
Well, members, this wasn't up for an adoption. It is information for us, if you would, to read over, and the next meeting between now and then, we will discuss this and come forward with a conclusion. So if you would, if you have a problem, let's talk to the insurance company, let's see, talk about this 2.5, 5% that they're, 4% they're talking about increase. 4.
Or,
Okay.
so we're saying we're not gonna, we're about renewal. Are we waiting for the renewal portion of it, or we're just waiting for to get approval of the increase?
Board members, what's your pleasure?
Discussion, if we approve the increase, we're basically approving the
The renewal?
plan. If we approve the plan, then we're approving the increase. I'm sorry, can you? I could.
That's what we'll be doing.
Yeah.
That's what I'm asking. And what I feel from this board, they're not willing to do that tonight. Okay, I see that they're not ready to do that tonight. So, insurance company, you need to go with your pencil, you need to tighten up. If you're gonna get it approved by this board, we'll talk to you later. Thank you so much. Let us move on. Thank you, okay?
Do we have to make any adjustments since it was before us initially for approval for information, or are we good?
Yes, sir. Have it down, sir.
I'll make,
I'm sorry, I just want to make sure we're okay. That's good.
Okay.
make one comment. We had a couple remaining slides. Do we want to cover those at this time or on the?
No, we've been on this long enough, man. We'll talk about this later, okay?
Can I ask a question?
Yeah.
Can I ask a question? Were those slides in relationship to transition of the supplemental insurances?
That's right.
Okay, we
Yep.
gotta get this right first.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks for
Thank
your
you so
time.
much. We appreciate it.
Yep.
Huh? What you said, what you told us last year. I hear you. I hear you.
Okay,
What's
they're-
the,
They're fine. He's probably just watching,
what she's watching?
Mr.
Next.
Mr. Williams, resolution that you need for us to consider.
I'd like to say good evening to everyone.
Good evening.
This is a resolution concerning the realignment of prosperity zones. Our workforce development, Turning Point Workforce Development falls under the jurisdiction of North Carolina Department of Commerce. The Department of Commerce has launched an effort. We have 23 workforce development boards. They would like to downsize to about 8. And the problem with that is they are moving our 5. We're in a workforce development area that consists of Wilson, Edgecombe, Nash, Halifax, and Northampton. Basically, those areas have the same economic characteristics. But if we were to merge, it would merge us into a different group of prosperity zones. When you're talking about a Wake County, a Durham County, Orange County, and it would merge us with there. And so when it comes to the disbursement of state funding, grants, federal funding, grants, it would be a little bit harder for us because we'll be competing against economies that have more support. And it is because of that the 5 counties, Wilson, Nash, Edgecombe, Halifax, and us, we are opposed to a realignment because in rural counties, we have characteristics that are similar. And it would really, it would benefit Wake. It would benefit those a little bit west of us because they would be getting what they call points, or they would be able to take advantage of the data for the I-95 corridor, which passes through Halifax, which passes through Northampton, which passes through Nash. And we don't feel that it would benefit us. We feel like it would hurt the county when it comes to consideration for workforce development type projects. So that's the resolution you have before you. I know you've read it, it's in your packet, but that is the gist of it, is that our 5 counties will stand together and oppose this realignment. Like we're doing well. I work well with all of the economic developers in our region. There are oftentimes they refer people to us, we refer people to them. We do better regionally than we can independently. If it's something that needs more land, they'll quickly give us a referral. If it's something that needs a little bit more of an urban feel and they come to us, I refer to them. So we work together in conjunction, but by moving all of us into another prosperity zone, it will hurt more than it will help.
Thank you. Board members, this is a resolution that all the counties have come together, all the county managers and all the counties have come together and decided we want to still stay as we are in our region. They want to somehow bust up our region, and I'm asking you tonight to approve this so we'll be a part of the counties like Mr. Williams said, like us. Okay? This time I want to know what your pledge is.
Chair Tony, many years ago, you asked for a motion, then we talked.
Yes.
I make a motion that we approve the resolution.
I have a second. Ms. Buffalo?
Second.
Okay, thank you. Any question, discussion? Yes.
Many years ago, I served on the Turning Point Workforce Development Board, and I see some members in the audience who also have served on that board. We had a hard enough time fighting with Wilson and Nash to try to get some of the resources and things funneled and say, you know, one would always say, well, what about Northampton? Or what about Halifax? And in a large room with Wake and Orange and those who have a lot more, they've got some influence in places that oftentimes we don't have. Not to say we don't have any, but sometimes we don't have some of those inroads. Puts us in a very precarious situation. Now, I remember when the State Board of Education was realigning their boards, their state board regions, and Northampton was supposed to have been, I was a testing coordinator then, and we were supposed to have been with Wake County and those, and we went to a meeting and they looked at us as if you all be quiet. You know, we've got this. We're Wake County. And we had a lot to say, but we weren't heard. So we petitioned to put us back where we were, and they did. At least with testing at that time, they put us back where we were because we didn't fit. Our voice was silenced because we weren't as big. And then sometimes they think because you're not the big ones with the big money, you don't have as much to say, and that's not true. So that's my personal, experience with this board, who's really, I think is really listening to Northampton a lot now. And just, I'm fearful of aligning with a larger board with larger counties. And if we're talking about what sells us is our waterways and that highway, I think we're better aligned with those than the big urban areas. That's my take.
Question? All in favor, let know by usual sign aye.
Aye. Buffalo. Aye, Faulkner.
I've had motion is carried. Thank you so much. Resolution is passed. Greg?
Good evening, Chairman Tyner. Good evening, Board of Commissioners.
Good evening.
This evening, I'm coming before you to ask for approval. And this approval is to let us to move forward to apply for grant funds. And to do that, I'm going to need the signature of the interim county manager to move forward with the process. Now, the amount of funds that we are asking for this year, we're going to ask for 1,500, and this will support educational programming that will be conducted by the Cooperative Extension's Adult FNEP, which stands for Expanded Food Nutrition Education Program. And we are also asking for a $2,000 grant for our Family and Consumer Science Program. And this will be to allow us to do additional educational programming. And this will be, like I said, in the amount of $2,000. And both of these will be coming from the Vidant Grant Health Foundation.
Okay, board members, you've heard from Craig telling us that he's applying for some grants. What is your position? What's your position? I have a motion.
I make a motion that we approve the applications for funds from the Ronald Juan Vidant Health Foundation that our Northampton County Cooperative Extension Director has presented tonight.
Thank you.
Second.
Boom, second by Commissioner Edwards. Question and discussion. All in favor, let nobody hear you sign aye.
Aye.
Hi, Boom.
I thought.
Let's have motion is carried. Thank you.
Thank you for your time.
Continue the good work. Dr. Burns.
Chair Tyler, Vice Chair Faulkner, Commissioners. I'm Dale Burns, Interim Superintendent of Northampton County Schools. On February 14th, 2022, the Northampton County Board of Education approved the completion and submission of a needs-based public school fund grant, actually grants, plural, to provide funding to construct a 6th grade through 12th grade centrally located school. In a separate action, the Board of Education also approved requesting consideration for approval of the same by the Northampton County Board of Commissioners. And for that reason, I stand before you this evening on behalf of the Board of Education. Present are Chair Rhonda Taylor, Vice Chair Dr. Marjorie Edwards, Board Member Lucy Edwards, and also Board Member Barbara Stevenson. So I wanted to recognize them. In your materials, you have a copy of the agenda item that was presented at the Board of Education meeting. I would like to review that and respond to any questions that you may have that I can respond to this evening. The Needs-Based Public School Capital Fund Grant Program has been in existence for a number of years. Last fall, it was upgraded. The statute was amended so that school systems can now apply for $50 million grants for a high school, $40 million grants for a middle school, and $30 million grants for an elementary school. There is a matching schedule that is at the back of your materials that indicates that Northampton County, according to the statute and the work done by the Department of Public Instruction, would have no matching funds required for grants that are approved for the county. In your packet, you have several pages from Senate Bill 105, which is the bill that amended the original needs-based grant. And in the first paragraph toward the end, the grants from the fund will be awarded to counties to assist with their critical public school building capital needs in accordance with the following priorities. And there are 7. Counties designated as development tier 1 areas, counties with greater need and less ability to generate sales tax and property tax revenue, counties with a high debt to tax revenue ratio, the extent to which a project will address critical deficiencies in adequately serving the current and future student population, projects with new construction or complete renovation of existing facilities, projects that will consolidate 2 or more schools into 1 facility, and counties that have not received a grant under this article in the previous 3 years. It is my understanding that the county, the school system did apply for a grant in 2018, if I recall. The grant was awarded. It is my understanding that the match was available. However, the cost of the school that was planned was greater than the $20 million. And that is my understanding. So if I'm not correct, please correct me. As a result, the grant money stayed with the Department of Public Instruction. And that amount is now part of a larger amount, approximately $380 million that is available, plus the unused grants from the past. I have been told by Department of Public Instruction employees that the total amount for grants is over $450 million. It's a large sum. Also in the legislation, the adjusted market value of taxable real property is indicated, the range with the percentage match that goes along with that. Northampton County's adjusted market value of taxable real property is approximately $1.5 billion. That places it in the 0% match tier. I would like to quickly talk about the application itself, which again is in your materials. On page 2, the guidance for completing a grant was issued in December. The deadline is March 15th. And the award announcements, which I find really exciting, is a quick turnaround, April 12th, 2022. That is very fast. The eligibility is stated there, and the document at the back of your materials shows that there are several counties in North Carolina that are not eligible. And it also shows the match for all the different counties that might be involved. There is a great deal of information to be collected. We started on that process. We have had help from Mr. Phil Matthews, who has come out of retirement for a period of time to come and assist with this and other matters. And also from Ratio Architects. That's the design firm that was employed by the Board of Education in 2018 to look at a plan and to develop one with input from stakeholders. They already had a lot of information, and so we have worked with them, and they have been of great assistance to us. Page 10, I think, is the most important page tonight. That is the assurance page. And if approved by both boards, signatures of the chairs indicate that the certification that follows on this page, and I'll share them quickly, is something that is agreed to by the boards of education and the Board of Commissioners. So by signing, the boards agree, they certify that the information provided in this proposal is correct and complete. The project described in the application is within the parameters of the needs-based public school capital fund as required by law, and that all of the required local funding is available and designated as a match for this project, with the match being 0 in this case. Then obviously that is a different matter than other districts that might have to have a match. All needs-based capital fund grant proceeds and the required local matching funds will be used for the construction project described in the application. There will be work cooperatively with the Department of Public Instruction in monitoring and evaluating the progress of the project and their timelines. Also, there'll be an agreement detailing the use of grant funds in accordance with the statute. All applicable federal, state laws will be adhered to, and generally accepted fiscal control and accounting procedures will be followed to ensure proper disbursement and accounting of funds from the grant fund and the required local matching funds. The final 2 pages list all of the counties in North Carolina. And in this area, there are a dozen counties that qualify for a 0 match grant, many contiguous to Northampton County. Chair Tyner and members of the board, I would be happy to try to respond to your questions this evening.
Yep. If y'all have me to go first, let me say to you, Mr. Burns, we're appreciative of these funds coming to Northampton County. We would be a fool to not let these funds come to our county. So this is a lot better than what it was over a year ago. the state was asking us to come up with $10 million in matching, and then it wasn't enough money even to build the building. So we are appreciative of the state changing their formula. We now are able to get those funds. But I do have several questions that I'd like the Board of Education to consider. First of all, to everybody that's listening, without a doubt, like it was with the courthouse, people were saying it wasn't real. This is real. What Dr. Burns has told us tonight is real. So let me clear that up. The other part that I would like to make is the fact this is a little different than the funds that came for the courthouse. Funds that came for the courthouse are not grant funds, they were state allotted funds that were given to us. There was a bill that gave us those funds for the courthouse. Also want you to know that we building a courthouse because of need, not for any other reason. We had another building to go to, we would. They had to nearly condemn our courthouse. It cannot be operated safely. That's why when we went to Raleigh and we went to the legislators and we said to them, please help us. We don't have any money and we need to do a courthouse. We need to have a safe place. And they listened to us and we were able to get the monies for the courthouse. In this monies, it's through the Department of Public Instruction.
Lottery funds.
Lottery funds. At any rate, the funds are there. So don't, if some folks were saying, no, the funds are not there, they are there. But this is what I want, just what I want the board and you, Dr. Burns, and to really look at us and make sure that we're doing what's right. First of all, we know that if we build a high school, you're talking about approximately 250, 280 high school students. Am I right?
Yes, sir, you're right.
Okay. You're also talking about middle school, you'll be probably talking about 300.
Thereabouts, yes, sir.
Yes, sir, 300 students. Okay. Now, doesn't bother me about that, but this is what bothers me. What bothers me about is taking care what we're going to do with all the buildings that we already have. I don't give no answer tonight. I don't want one, but this board needs to know, because when you all leave out of the buildings, those buildings then become really the Board of Commissioners to take care of them for a lifetime. That's the only, I just want you all to look at that and look at what we do with 4 or 5 buildings in this county that we're not using. And then I also want you all to remember that we still owe for buildings. And I don't have the exact amount, and I will get it to you all. We still owe for buildings in this county because the bonds. We just went and renegotiated our amounts of interest that we were paying, but we didn't do anything with the length. So I ask you all, when you all are doing all this, consider what we can do with buildings that we owe for and that we don't have any children in, okay? I really would like for you all to consider this as you go through it. Not saying that we don't want to get $90 million, but let's get $90 million and know what we're going to do with the number of buildings that we're going to have vacant in the county. Now, in 20, I appreciate y'all please listening to us or not, okay? In 2021, the state has already given us a report to the county commission that we will have less than 900 students in our schools. in Northampton County. Less than 900 in Northampton County. All the commissioners got that report when we went to our meeting. So my question is, what we're gonna do with all the buildings that we've got left over that we're not going to use, okay? Then I got another concern, and I want you to know this. Everybody should know it. It is known in North Carolina that we are low performing school. It's all over. The county commissioners, I have received 2 calls, one from a charter school and one from a school in New York who is private schools, who say they want to use some Central 21 money to come to Northampton County and bring these children up grade level. The one in North Carolina said they want to do a charter school. And what they're interested in doing is using the buildings that you're gonna have surplus to start a school in Northampton County. Now, I just want y'all to keep all of those in mind, keep all those things in mind, because no way can we have a building at any place that's not being used and we still paying money, because we pay for those buildings through our sales tax. We designate our sales tax to go towards that. All that doesn't pay, then we take it from our tax, real estate tax. So what I'm trying to say, when you're going through this, Dr. Burns, with your experience, work with your board and helping us that we can do what we need to do and providing the very best we can provide, but yet we cannot afford to go up with tax. What we have decided, this board, that we're going to lower taxes, not go up. So whatever building we build, then we're gonna close down some buildings. We know that will help us, because that'll help us pay for the utility and so forth for those buildings, okay? But what we wanna know is what we're gonna do with those buildings. If this board will never have those buildings to be there, and somebody comes in and says, I wanna buy those buildings, I wanna lease those buildings, we can't afford not to have them have that opportunity with the amount of money that we owe on the buildings that we have. So a lot of work got to go into what you do and so forth. But board, tonight, I said what I said. I'm going to vote that they go and get all the free money they can, because this is an opportunity that we might not ever have again in Northampton. But I also want you to know, on the other side, you need to tell us what we're going to do when we don't have enough children to fill up and to use the schools that we have. I just think we just need to think through it, because there are some people and that's looking at Northampton County, because you know a lot of the other persuasions have gone to, let's do charter schools. Scott's, those are the schools that the state in particular pushing for, charter schools. I've had 2, remember, I give you the names. One in Sanford, North Carolina, who says we want to come to help Northampton County. And the way we're gonna help them, we're gonna start our own school. Okay, I just want you to know that's what we see. And we can all do it if we work together. But I just want you to know there's another side to getting the money than just getting the money and then just sitting back. Board members, anybody else?
I think we need to vote on the submission and then have the discussion.
This time, board members, could I have a recommendation from you all?
Chairman Tanner, I make a motion that we approve the submission of the needs-based public school fund grants to provide funding to construct a 6th grade through 12th grade centrally located school.
Second.
Moved and properly second that you're authorizing this board chair to sign the application that's given to us by the Board of Education. Are there any questions, discussion?
Discussion.
Yes.
I was here when the district began its consolidation process, and before I ran as an elected official, I was concerned about the stalemate with the centrally located high school. I saw that we could not afford to keep running two high schools, staffing wise, we couldn't afford it. And neither community wanted the transportation of the students because of time. We talk about high school, we talk about athletics, talking about kids and after school programs, extracurricular activities. It's prohibitive for some because of the time that they will be getting home and still having to do schoolwork. And some of our scholar athletes are doing an amazing job with very little sleep and having to do things on the bus. So the consolidation of a school was good, but I saw as a citizen that a centrally located school was going to be better. I also know that the current building that houses Northampton County High School is about 30 years old. And at some point, maybe not in my lifetime, and I haven't birthed any children, but I have nieces that are in the public school system in Northampton County. And at that point, they will probably be taxpaying citizens. If we delay building a building, these lottery funds may not be there. It may become a whole different change and said we're doing away with lottery, and there is no lottery fund. So 50 million, whether it's for the high school or up to 50 and up to 40 for a middle school. And if we're able to get both, I would hate, and I understand, as Chair Tyner stated, some people, it's hard for them to believe, but you can, on the Department of Public Instruction's website, the documents that we were provided tonight are out for public to just go to the website and pull it down. And you can see that even a county next to us has a 5% match. They still have a 5% match, but we do not. And if we don't do it now, and again, when you do apply for a grant, no one says you're going to get it. We just prayerful and hopeful that we will, that the need is there for us. Either it's 50 million today or 90 million today that we don't pay. And those of you who play the lottery, I guess you're saying I bought the building, but it's going to be someone having to replace a building somewhere down the line. So that is what I want to share from my constituents who have called and want to make sure that as commissioners, we support the right thing, is that either we build it today on with the availability of these lottery funds with a zero match that we did not have before. And even if that means that we've invested in a building that we're having to leave, it's certainly not $50 to $90 million investment that we've made. So if you look at it as, if someone says you can buy a house, you can have a house, you just have to buy the land, and then they'll build their house for you. And you can build a $50 million house. You just have to give me the piece of land. Would you turn it down? Even if you just put a modular home on that lot, you might say that was a beautiful home for me then, but look what I'm getting. So in essence, my money that I spent in this modular home or two-story home that I thought was great, that might have cost me $300,000, now I'm getting a $50 million home. So that is what I want those constituents to understand. It is accurate, and it does mean that it's an opportunity for our children to be in a building centrally located, state of the art, that can see down the future to invest in the educational opportunities for our children. And once you get the funds, they say you have to develop your plan for exactly what's going to be in there. So I just hope that all the questions, we take that into consideration as to what that building would be like and who actually will occupy it, not just today, but considering those projections that the state is giving us down the future. That's what I have to say.
Any other more questions?
No questions, Mr. Chairman.
All in favor?
Just a comment.
Yes.
Just so happy that this opportunity has come back around, Dr. Burns. So thank you to the school board and to your leadership for bringing this before this Board of Commissioners.
Could,
I agree. Just a statement as well. I think that this is a great opportunity. Almost like the windows have been opened.
Absolutely.
I mean,
Again,
the possibility of $90 million.
Northampton County.
Northampton County to build an institution of learning for young people. That's a blessing. And I hope the best. I feel like, I mean, so much is coming to my mind. They that wait upon him, the Lord. Now faith is the substance of things hoped for, the evidence of things not yet seen. Yeah, our numbers are low. Our numbers have declined. But just visualize the possibilities. This is what we stand on. Our vision. So I just hope for the best for Northampton County. And we all support young people in education and training. And let's just go forward.
Any other discussion? If not, all in favor, let it known by usual saying aye.
aye.
Aye, Buffalo. Aye, Boone.
Aye, Faulkner.
Aye, ayes have it. Motion is carried. Thank you.
Thank you,
Thank you, Dr.
Commissioner.
Burns.
Good evening, Chairman Tyner, Vice Chair Faulkner, Commissioner Boone, Buffalo, and Dr. Edwards. Today I stand before you to request an amendment adjustment to a contract that's already in existence with the Northeastern Home Care and the Northampton County Department of Social Services. The contract ends on June the 30th, 2022. Northeastern is requesting an increase. We received a letter which states, in lieu of state granting an increase of the reimbursement rate and one-time bonuses for direct care workers for personal care and Cte services, and increasing overhead costs to provide the in-home aid program and to recruit and retain current in-home aides, Northeastern Home Care is requesting a rate increase from the current rate of $13.50 an hour to $15 an hour, effective March 1st, 2022. I feel we will be able to provide quality and effective services at the proposed rate, which affects the recruitment and retainment of qualified staff. I am requesting that, if with you all's permission, that we do provide the rate increase of $1.50 extra per unit. And I would need Chairman Tyner to sign the amendment.
Thank you. The money is in your budget, right?
Yes.
What board, what is your pleasure?
Chairman, I move approval of the proposed rate increase for in-home aid agency as presented by the Director of Social Service.
Have a second. Second by Ms. Buffalo. Any question in discussion? None. All in favor, let nobody use saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, Buffalo. Aye, Boone.
Aye, Faulkner.
Ayes have it, motion is carried. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Continue the good work. Okay. Tax matters.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Northampton County Board of Commissioners, Attorney, Finance Director, and the citizens of Northampton County. I'm before you with 4 items on the agenda this evening.
Yes.
The first one is for tax ad valorem, appealing for 4 items in the amount of $912.91. The listing here for property owners who have requested that I appeal to you on their behalf. My recommendation is that the Board of Commissioners approve the request for release of refunds of the ad valorem tax appeals submitted here in the amount of $912.91.
Board members, what is your pleasure?
Make a motion, Chair, that we approve the release of the approval of the release, the ad valorem taxes assessed in the amount of $912.91 on these 4 appeals presented by our tax administrator, Ms. Mason, tonight.
Can I have a second?
Second.
With the proper second, that we approve the repeal $912.91. Any question in discussion? All in favor, let know by your sign.
Aye.
Faulkner.
Ayes have it, motion is carried.
Okay.
Continue on.
All right, second item on the agenda is for ad valorem motor vehicles. 14 appeals in the amount of $1,071.02. Again, I'm before you with the listing for property owners. I'm appealing on their behalf. That would be for 3 reasons. A tax imposed through clerical error, a legal tax, or tax levy for an illegal purpose. My recommendation, actually, the board has the authority to grant that due.
Board members, what is your pleasure?
Chairman Tyler, make another motion that we approve the refunds in the amount $1,071.02 as presented by our administrator tonight.
Second.
Second.
Second, Ms. Buffalo. Question and discussion? All in favor, let know by your sign. Aye.
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 Aye, Boone.
Faulkner.
Ayes have it, motion is carried.
Okay.
Continue on.
All right, the next item on the agenda is again for another ad valorem appeal. 6 appeals this time in the amount of $10,368.60. Again, I'm before you with in the listed amount for property owners. I'm appealing on their behalf. My recommendation is that the Board of Commissioners approve the request for refunds or releases.
Board members, what is your pleasure?
Chairman Tyler, make a motion that we approve the release and or refund of the ad valorem tax appeals presented again in the amount of $10,368.60.
Second.
Second, Buffalo.
Second by Ms. Buffalo. We give those appeals, ad valorem tax appeals. Questions in the discussion? Not all in favor, let it be known by usual sign. Aye.
Aye.
Aye, Buffalo.
Aye.
Faulkner.
That motion is carried. Thank you so much.
Okay, I got one more item, last and fourth and last item on the agenda this evening is to report the amount of delinquent tax and fees to the board and request their order to advertise secured 2021 tax bills during the 2nd or 3rd week in April 2022.
What week?
I'm asking that, okay, so there's a summary. You all have a list that summarizes the delinquent taxes, and we put them in the paper. That's what I'm asking.
That's it.
That amount is in total $2,213,950. I'm sorry, $2,213,958.35.
Board members, what is your pleasure?
And I gave you all a more legible
we saw
copy.
it.
Okay.
I make a motion that we adopt the order to the tax collector directing the secured 2021 tax liens be advertised pursuant to General Statute 105-369 for tax bills during the 2nd or 3rd week of April 2022.
Second.
Did I have a second? Been moved second. Any question in discussion?
I have a question.
Yes.
So it says all delinquent secured and unsecured tax bills as of February 21st. Is it February 21st, 11:59 PM, or is it February 21st at the close of business? The reason why I asked is because I know some people had like they have it postmarked. So what is the February 21st date actually?
5
Some do it online,
5 p.m.
5 PM.
It's postmarked by.
Just vote then.
Okay, all in favor? Known by you, saying aye.
Aye.
Hi, Buffalo.
Hi, Boone.
Guy Faulkner.
That motion is carried.
Thank you very much.
Citizen comments, have we got citizens? Yeah, please do.
Good evening, everyone. When your name is called, please approach the podium and speak clearly into the microphone. You'll have 5 minutes to state your comments to the board. Should you have any questions of the board, you'll receive a subsequent oral or written response from county staff. The board will not engage or have a dialogue with you during your allotted time. Pursuant to state law, this time is allotted on the agenda for citizens' comments for the purposes of allowing public commentary on county business. This time is not an open forum to be publicly critical of the performance of any county commissioner or county employee, and the chair will maintain the order and decorum of the meeting. Thank you.
At this time, I'm gonna ask Mr. Albert Van. Albert Van.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
County Attorney. My question is, about a week or so ago, I had a call from a neighbor, wanted to know if I had received my tax listing form. He was kind of upset. He was scared he was going to get paid with, he was going to get hit with a late listing fee. And my question is, has a date been set to send them out, or have they been sent out, or did we miss them? But anyway, I know I left my phone number and my cell phone, so
We'll let you know.
I told him, my neighbor, I'd get back with him, so.
Okay. We'll let you know.
Okay.
We'll get to you in writing. We're not gonna answer those. Okay?
We'll make sure she gets it.
Okay, we'll make sure you get it. Okay. Mr. Richard Harden.
Good evening, good evening.
Good evening.
I just wanted to say something real quick as far as with what's happening with the schools. Population has been decreasing in Northampton County since sharecropping. During that time, people needed kids in order to farm. Now, average household may have 1 adult, maybe 2 kids. So that population is getting smaller. But no matter how many kids we gotta have a place to educate our children. Charters are popping up everywhere. I was a school board member from 2016 to 2020. There was always conversation about another charter wanting to come in, things of that nature. It's something that you have to deal with. In order to keep the kids, you have to teach your kids. And that's something that the school system just has to work on as far as getting better and better. And that effort is definitely there. When it comes to money from the education lottery, as a board member, I was served as chair of finance and facilities when I went to a conference in Greensboro, and there was a presentation there from the North Carolina Education Lottery. And they explained to us that they originally were supposed to allocate 40% of their proceeds to schools. At that presentation, we were told that our state lawmakers put a cap at $100 million, which had that amount at about 13% actually going to school districts. So that's part of the reason why the need-based funding came about, because they wanted to try to get things right. It was very hard for me living in Gaston when the schools combined to see kids from the Warren County line having to go to Creeksville, nor did I want to see kids from Woodland have to come to Gaston. It's a long ride. It is hard, that you mentioned. We got kids in athletics. Our kids do very well. They put a lot of work in, and their days are very long. It is very important for them to be able to have a school in the center of our county. The state looked at the application that we submitted. They understand what we need, because as our population decreases, and we were instructed to try to decrease the number of schools that we had in our district. They understand that our population is going to get even lower. So they're looking ahead. They already know what we got when it was built. They know we're going to need to have that 6 through 12 facility in the center of our county. Now, it's on us what we do with those other buildings. As we were trying to address the issue of decreasing the number of schools, we have had people, organizations that wanted to step in, go through that upbid process to purchase 1 or 2 of those buildings. I hope they're still there. I hope that the current high school that we have in Gaston can be used similar to what y'all are doing with W.S. Creasy and with the Creeksville site. There were some young men that was up at Gaston Baptist Church, the Lake Gaston Community Center, that taught kids woodwork, things of that nature. So we could do something like that up in Gaston with that building. That would be a wonderful use for that facility. But as far as having those kids down there, that's very important. It's very important that it was addressed here tonight so citizens can understand. It hurt my heart. We didn't move forward with the grant before, but I am ever so thankful that this opportunity is here, where there's anywhere from $50 to $90 million to be able to have a facility where we can continue to move forward educating our children. It is desperately needed. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, I'd like to, Jenkins?
Yes, sir. May I take this mask off?
Yes, sure, Miss.
Telling you what is hot.
I am too.
I love the hot weather, but this is hot. I'm here tonight on behalf of Mr. Wayne Jenkins and Mr. Ben Moses. Neither one of them could be here tonight. And I'm representing Northampton Citizens United, a political action group that has over 200 members. I'd like to read our letter of support to this board. February 21st, 2022, Northampton County Board of Commissioners. Letter of support, Northampton County Board of Education, application for funding. Commissioners, this letter of support is presented on behalf of Northampton Citizens United, a political action committee comprised of over 200 Northampton County citizens who acknowledge our full support for the 90 million needs-based application to construct a centrally located middle high school. We further acknowledge and thank the Board of Education, the leadership team consisting of Dr. Dale Burns and all supporting staff for their vision for the present and the future of our school system. As we understand, this grant application of 90 million plus or minus comes with no tax burden to the citizens of the county, other than the direct cost to purchase the land on which the school will be built. This is likely a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity to move our school system forward and our county forward without a tax burden to our citizens. We thank you for your consideration and hope that you will support our school system as we move forward with this together. Signed, Wayne Jenkins and Ben Moses.
Clint Williams.
Ms. Jenkins, Ms. Jenkins, I believe you left your mask here.
I'll get arrested without it now.
Good evening, board members. I'm Clinton Williams, former board member here in Northampton County. And before I make my comments, I want to definitely give a shout out to Dr. Burns, who's here now leading our district as the interim superintendent, and our board members who are here in support of his efforts. I want to start this discussion off and definitely not to be contentious, but I'm a little bit concerned about the rhetoric about the possibility of Northampton County Schools District landing a centrally located middle and high school that has been a focus point for this district for many years. In 2012, I sat at the table with many board members at many meetings, and some of you at the table were there. Some of you that are sitting at that table, you were there with me when we were advocating for a new school. Now, first, the issue is that taxpayers do not want any additional burdens, and we have determined that there are funds available that will not cost the taxpayers any monies. County commissioners, you don't even have to look for ways to match these funds, and you've already acknowledged that. It bothers me just a little bit to know that we would support a courthouse in Northampton County, a new courthouse. We would support a new jailhouse, but we would not support a new schoolhouse. I am the president of the North Carolina Caucus of Black School Board Members, and we were dealing with an issue just a few months ago. And I received a call from one of the members, Miss Evelyn Wilson. Some of you probably know her, who is a board member in Nash County. Ms. Wilson contacted me and she said, Mr. Williams, I have an issue I need to talk with you about. And this was about a scholarship that we were talking about, and there was some hassle about whether we wanted to fund students or not. And Ms. Wilson said, Mr. Williams, you are the president of this caucus. She said, now, if you send out a letter or a text message or an email or however you want to communicate, if you send out a positive message, I believe that everybody else will get on board with this much needed initiative. I wasn't totally in agreement with what we started at the beginning, but I realized it was good for the people, for everyone. And so I heard Ms. Wilson, and that's exactly what I did. And to my surprise, every single executive board member said yes. Now, my point to you all tonight is, and I'm glad to hear that this vote is taking place, but I think it's going to be important for us to have this same message going out of this room. Thank you, county commissioners who have agreed to do this. Thank you very much. But when the county commissioners, and particularly Mrs. Tyler, you as chair, get behind this initiative and say to the people, this is all right, this is good for the county, everybody is going to say, this is all right, this is good for the county, because you all are leadership and people trust you. So I'm asking that you will help us reclaim those students that we've lost. According to the Department of Public Instructions, right now, Northampton County should have approximately 1,700 students. The outlook says we're gonna eventually go to where we're only gonna need one building in this district. That's how small the population of students are going to be. And someone like Dr. Burns, I'm impressed that you will come to this district and realize that we have this need on an interim basis and start this particular initiative. I think it's great. So we are way below what our projection is right now, but I believe we can reclaim our students with the state-of-the-arts high school. If we're going to compete globally, if we're going to compete statewide, we have got to make sure that we are in this game and we are able to present the same product that those people are able to present. I have no issues, no qualms with GCP KIPP or charter schools or private school, except they're draining our public schools, our funds. Now, how do we do this? We've got to operate on a business model. We've got to offer something that they offer. But listen, it's going to be up to the 5 county commissioners sitting at this table to say to the public that we are getting this money in a good way. Mr. Tyler, thank you for acknowledging that, because there are individuals running around the district right now telling folks that this is going to cost the taxpayers. Now, if we're going to share information, it's got to be truth, especially when we're in leadership. I'm not going to go on and on about this too much. As far as the schools are concerned, and charter schools coming from New York, they can come from anywhere they want to. But those board members who've sat at that table with me know that we can sell any building in this district, and we can put conditions on those sales that would deter folks from wanting to come in our district and move into those buildings. And I think surely with some of the money that we spent in some buildings, you all have the projections. I'm going to sit down now. Two architectural firms that we paid $16,000 and $11,000, and DPI that came in to do a study for free said that we have schools that need to be closed. If we close those, we're not paying for those buildings. They need to be closed, and it will support what we're trying to do.
Thank you. Thank you. I appreciate it. Thank you. Okay. Comments? Let's start with Ms. Buffalo. Comments from the board. Time to go. Say that for a reason.
In Garrettsburg, and they will be here in Jackson at the Cultural and Wellness Center tomorrow from 9 until 4. And on Wednesday, they will be at the Family Dollar in Conway, same time. Back at the Cultural and Wellness Center on the 24th on Thursday, same time. On Friday, they will be at the Dollar General in Seaboard, and on Saturday at Cool Spring Baptist Church Community Center, same time. And on Monday, the 28th, they will be at First Baptist Church in Severn. And on March 3rd, they will be at the Rich Square Town Hall. Same day reports for anyone ages 6 and up. Again, that's drive-through COVID-19 testing. That's all I have.
Okay, let's say good evening to everyone, and looking at following up on Trillium, they're doing some great things in helping us as we look at mental wellness in Northampton County and other counties as well. And they're going to be bringing new initiatives, and so be on the lookout for that. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. That's all I have for this afternoon.
Yes, want to say good evening again to everyone. And I just want to acknowledge and just say again, just how thankful and grateful it was to see the cultural arts presentation on this evening. And then just to hear our resolutions read tonight about three of our citizens, or 3 individuals who have made an impact in Northampton County. I'm glad to hear the news coming forth from our Board of Education. And it's just, I would say, a good night, a hope-filled night. And I just look forward to seeing what's to come for Northampton County. I would like to leave you all with a quote, and it's a quote that I would like to share for this Black History Month. I believe that education and training will help motivate youth and adults to want to do better. The lack of it will continue to breed hopelessness, doubt, and despair within. the lack of it being education and training will continue to breed hopelessness, doubt, and despair within. That quote was stated by my father, the late James Boone. And I look at our education system and I see our CTE Academy. That is great here in our county for our young people. They are not only getting their basic high school education, but they're also getting trained up in a trade of some sort. And they will leave that facility with the certification of some sort that they can take and they can utilize somewhere in the future once they graduate. That's education and training. That's breeding hopefulness. That's giving them vision. Now with the open window, you went from possibly getting $10, $20 million, and now you possibly getting $50 to $90 million. Come on, somebody. I don't know. I know I'm not at church, but just come on and receive it for what it is. That's all my comments tonight. I just hope that everyone continues to remain safe. It's good to see that our numbers are going down in the county, but let's continue to do what we should be doing anyway, to keep ourselves healthy. Have a good evening.
Thank you.
Y'all, I talk a lot, and I apologize sometimes, because as a board, we had decided we would have a work session 1 week, and then 2 weeks later, we would have the meeting where we actually make our decisions. But in an effort to make sure that citizens who were waiting on those tax refunds, and in some instances, some grants or things that had a deadline, we kind of reverted back to having 2 regular board meetings. So I do apologize for citizens that sometimes you think that there's a lot of banter, but that's because we don't have those private conversations about board meetings. We have them here in this boardroom, and you'll at some point, unless we go back to having the work session, you'll continue to hear some of that that conversation, like the tonight. You know, I want to make sure that I make the most informed decision for myself, and so do my fellow board members. So thank you all for bearing with us tonight. This is CTE Awareness Month, and this week is CTE Awareness Week, and that's Career Technical Education. And a lot of people would say vocational education, but they stopped it with figuring it out, calling it vocational years ago. But in essence, if you were in school back in the day, it's what you called vocational, but with a souped up meaning. So that at some points, people thought of it as a negative. If you were in that program, then that meant you were not geared towards college. But with the twist, it is about the end result of everyone going to school is to get a job that could sustain a family, or themselves. So definitely we want to support the career technical education programs at our middle schools and our high schools, and the possibilities that present itself with the design of a new school being future forward, thinking about careers that are not even existing at the moment. That's how you have to build your building for the, 50 years down the road. What do you think you might need? I know it's hard to imagine, but economic developers are out there thinking further than what they need right now. But I thank you all for sticking with us tonight. I thank you for your votes of confidence. And we might not agree on everything. Who does? In your household, there are people that don't agree with some decisions you might make. They might not like the food you cooked tonight, but that's okay. But we can all come together, have an intelligent conversation, make the best decisions for our citizens. So thank you for bearing with us.
Thank you. My closing remarks is that I hope that you all didn't ever think we were gonna let $90 million stay in Raleigh or go to some other place. We didn't get it, someone else was gonna get it. I want to thank you, for coming to us, expressing your opinions about the new schools, about us applying for the funds. And we want to just say thank you. Don't you ever think that we don't want to see this Northampton County grow and be all it can be. I want you all to know, thank God, that we're hoping in the next week, 2 weeks, we have a new county manager, and here in the county, that will be a blessing for me. You can tell I'm tired. Can't you tell? You can tell I'm tired. Can't talk. You can tell I'm tired. So we're planning to have one, and please follow us. We'll have a special meeting and we will announce when that will take place. So there again, we're hoping that we can bring someone in to continue to move our county forward. Last thing I want to say to you all is we can certainly do this when we all work together for the betterment of the county. I think our vice chairman said it better than I could say it. We might not all agree. We all desire to make things better. And that's what we all desire to do. So again, thank you tonight for coming and being a part of us. And we look forward to continue to move forward with Northampton County and making it all it needs to be. At this time, I will entertain a motion that we will go for 5 minutes into closed session. Could I have a motion? And remember, folks, when we do closed session, we don't come back out to make no motions. We go in closed session. Whatever we do in closed session will be held over to the next meeting if we need be. We do not come back out, so you need not to stay and thinking we're gonna come out, we're gonna pull something over you by approving something. We just don't operate that way. So at this time, could I have a motion that we have a motion? Could I have a motion? We go in closed session?
Yes, sir. I make a motion that we enter into closed session regarding GS 143-318-11A6 personnel, A3 attorney-client privilege, A4 EDC report.
Second. I have second.
Second.
Second. All in favor, that know by you sign aye.
Aye.
Ayes have, motion is carried.